The white rose that has been hidden behind me will eventually be embraced in my arms. Keywords of the novel. I hide the white rose behind me without a pop-up window. I hide the white rose behind me. Download the complete text. I hide the white rose behind me. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1 Wedge. White roses between book pages. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Wedge. White roses between book pages floating on the pure white sea surface. The fingertips of the wind gently caress the contours of the hearing. The soft touch is like newly formed petals. Above the clouds, the sunlight was rubbed open and scattered casually. Those invisible particles, like little elves, sway and dance in the pure white field of vision. Meeting memories is a peaceful day. Consistent with memory, it's good weather. It makes people not want to open their hazy sleeping eyes. Because the familiar voice has not yet reached my ears. Please get up, senior. It's the sound of petals falling on the spring water. Get up now. There is the fragrance of white roses in the air. Hurry up, you guy, I'm not waiting for you anymore, are you? White roses on the pure white sea, facing the overflowing sunlight, I raised my hand and held it in front of me. Release the palm, a white rose petal falls and rests on the forehead. Like splashing ink, half of the petals slowly seeped red. The horizon became increasingly bright, until even the contours of the fingers were integrated and could no longer be distinguished. All right, get up. I really don't wait for you anymore. Don't stay in the same place waiting for me. In the soft smile like petals, it is wrapped with both solemn and intimate blessings. In the future summer, there will be people holding roses and meeting you. So, the fragrance of the white rose gradually faded. Goodbye, senior. So, the wind gradually drifted away. Floating on the pure white sea surface. Meeting memories is a peaceful day. Consistent with memory, it's good weather. There are still many things to do, there is still a long way to go, there is still a long time to spend, and this blessing needs to be fulfilled, and the person in the blessing is waiting to meet. Okay, goodbye. At this moment, the hazy drowsiness suddenly rose and scattered, and with a slight extension of the limbs, a force called awakening quickly emerged. Under the April sunshine, Lin Xingxian slowly opened his eyes. In the small courtyard where he lived alone, he sat up from the lounge chair, reached out to grab his neck, and instinctively swayed his gaze, from the blue sky to the lawn, and then to the small round table next to him. You ran into my dream again. Looking back, Lin Xingxian looked up, squinted his eyes, stretched lazily, and picked up the thick old notebook from the round table. Chuanqiu's handwriting reads, Dr. Lin's Notes, in the middle of the cover. Standing up, reflecting the sunlight, Lin Xingxian lightly caressed the cover and then opened the cover. In the bottom right corner, there is a line of small characters with the same handwriting that reads, Fool Lin Xingxian will definitely become a good doctor. With a puff sound, Lin Xingxian couldn't help but laugh. The fool has already woken up from sleep. A lazy and sunbathing tone, as if the person who wrote that line was standing in front of them. Continuing to flip through the pages, Lin Xingxian's movements suddenly slowed down. There is a hint of caution. Sandwiched between the pages on both sides is a petal specimen made into a bookmark. It is a white rose petal. Stopping and standing in place, Lin Xingxian lowered his head to look at the bookmark, his already indifferent smile involuntarily narrowing, his gaze somewhat distracted. I haven't dreamt of the same scene for quite some time now. Dingling after a few minutes, the doorbell drove away the silence in the air. Woo! A German shepherd dog ran out of the house, circled around Lin Xingxian, and then ran towards the entrance of the small courtyard. Repositioning the bookmark, Lin Xingxian closed his notebook and followed the pace of the German shepherd dog. How are you preparing? I'll take you to the airport later. Opening the door, Lin Xingxian saw a young man of his own age standing at the door, waving the car key in his hand and pointing to the blue sports car parked behind him. During their student days, these two people were classmates from medical school. After graduation, work at the same hospital. It's a friend who even buys the same car. You can start at any time, but it's still early. Come and take a seat first. Move aside from the door and invite friends in. Lin Xingxian leaned down and touched the head of the German Shepherd dog, then lightly patted it. The young man immediately ran back into the room. Lin, what did you say to it? My friend turned to look at Lin Xingxian, pointed to the door of the room, and shrugged his shoulders in a calm manner. He has never understood how his friends establish communication with this pet, as he does not keep one. I'll have Spark go get you the keys to the house, Theo. Then please help me with this house. Subconsciously wanting to fetch tea to entertain his friends, Lin Xingxian suddenly remembered that he was about to leave and had packed everything into his suitcase. He had to scratch the back of his head and sit back in his recliner. What did the teacher say in the end? How long do you plan to stay there? With his eyes wide open, Theo watched as the German Shepherd named Spark ran back in front of him, biting a string of keys. He raised a question that his classmates had been paying attention to before. Two hospitals are conducting medical exchanges, and the other hopes that Lin Xingxian's hospital can send outstanding cardiothoracic surgeons to serve as guests. As the dean, the person who Theo referred to as the teacher has already agreed to the other party. Lin Xingxian is the doctor appointed by the agreement. The teacher told me that the written agreement was for 3 years, but if the situation permits, it can be shortened to 2 years. It will depend on what both parties say. Opening the luggage bag placed under the square table, Lin Xingxian carefully put the notebook inside and slowly closed the zipper. Although he has only been away for 2 or 3 years, there is no need to sell this house, but he has decided to put an end to life here. After returning, he will buy a new house. Since we have already agreed with that person, let the memory belong only to the memory. After you come back, we should be able to call you a professor, right? Sitting on the lawn, Theo touched Spark's head and smiled somewhat awkwardly. He felt that Lin Xingxian didn't seem willing to say much about this matter, so let's shift the topic. Professor Lin. Professor Lin. Without hearing a response, in Theo's line of sight, Lin Xingxian was looking down at his phone, his eyebrows furrowing slightly, as if he was a bit annoyed. Today's plane, isn't it? On Lin Xingxian's phone screen, a string of Chinese characters flickered out, causing him to tremble his eyebrows. I'm going to work, not on vacation. The hospital said they want to send a car to pick me up. You don't have to come and pick me up when you go to the hospital. Fingertips quickly typed out a line of words on the screen and sent it out. Lin Xingxian supported his forehead, holding his breath in his chest, feeling helpless. Good, good, work is important. After you go to the hospital, I will pick you up later. Today, I will make a big table of dishes that you liked to eat when you were a child. Buzz. The phone vibrated for a moment, and this message appeared cheerfully on the screen. In Theo's perspective, the young cardiothoracic surgeon let out a long sigh, then raised his hand to cover his heart and lay down innocently on the lounge chair. A fleeting thought flashed through Lin Xingxian's heart, and he had a premonition that his future life would no longer be as routine as before. Theo looked up at the leisurely sky and lay down on the lawn with his arm on his back. Lin Xingxian, this time on a long journey, shouldn't he encounter something similar to fate? End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Are everyone here today? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Are everyone here today? Many people will miss their student days. The pressure of academic studies and young youth coexist in a time when everything can be imagined and everything is still possible, and everyone has many possibilities. Some people are motivated by this, while others, isn't it okay? Well, can't it? Why choose such a difficult option for yourself? In a cafe near Deyang High School, 15-year-old Su Yoli furrowed her eyebrows, grabbed her boyish short hair, and then lay on the table, looking listlessly at the girl across from her. Today after school, let's take a look at our high school goals together. As a result, we talked about the future school environment and the elective subjects we will encounter after the start of school. In Su Yoli's opinion, Chinese class is really too difficult. Chinese can be considered the most difficult language to learn in the world. Why do your friends choose this course when the time comes? Is this guy not planning to take credits when the time comes? You can't pay for your interests with wasted credits. Actually, it's not difficult. Can you choose Chinese classes with me? If you don't know, I'll teach you. However, her friend clearly did not have the same distress as her, and was full of interest and confidence in Chinese classes. And she, please let me go. With a mournful expression on her face, Su Yoli took the last sip of ice American from her cup and felt her heart becoming bitter. I and the person opposite me are elementary school classmates and also middle school classmates, and we are about to become high school classmates. From childhood to adulthood, as long as it was decided by this person named Lu and she, Su Yoli, no matter how hard she struggled at first, was always willing to accompany her to the end. Watching the pedestrians coming and going outside the window, Su Yoli tilted her head and sat slumped in her seat, already beginning to imagine the various painful expressions she would have during her future Chinese class. Alright, let's discuss it later. In Su Yoli's eyes, the person across from her now had a pleasing and approachable smile on her face, as if she had wings of a little devil. Are you leaving now? Seeing her friend start tidying up her phone and laptop on the desk and packing them into her backpack, Su Yoli also grabbed the coat on the back of the seat and prepared to get up and leave. There is a family gathering to attend tonight. My dad and my mom are almost here, and I have to leave now. It's Aunt Fong, whom I mentioned to you before. With her eyelashes flickering in confusion, Su Yoli gently swung her coat over her shoulder with one hand and followed her friend's footsteps out of the CAFA. Finally, she pulled out the word Aunt Fong from her scattered memory that was impacted by the word Chinese class. Very beautiful, very wealthy, career-oriented female powerhouse, and she's mother is like a best friend, treating and she and her sister as daughters, cooking is delicious, my mother tongue is Chinese. Chinese Lenovo's self-selected subject just now, Su Yoli stumbled her neck and pursed her lips at Lu Enshi walking ahead, her eyes full of the meaning of everyone playing games together, but you quietly making money. However, Lu Enshi was unaware that Su Yoli was making a face behind her, as she was responding to a new message from her mother. Enshi, did you go see it? Deyang High School. The relationship between the two families has become so close that it no longer feels like being guests. While the mother and daughter exchange itineraries, they also don't forget to talk about their daughter's further education. Just watched it with Yuli, now I'm going to my aunt's house. Are everyone here today? She reached out and stopped a taxi. She turned around and waved goodbye to Su Yoli, only to find that this guy in sportswear had already straddled her precious bicycle, ready to rush out at any moment. See you next Monday, Enshi. Just waiting to say hello to her friends and then leaving behind this sentence in her back, Su Yoli happily turned the street corner and merged into Friday night. After swallowing the unspoken Monday meeting, Lu Enshi got into a taxi and reported his destination, then opened his phone again. Your Annie just said she will be on duty tonight, but your Enshi Annie finished work early today. You can see her later. The sister named Pei Enshi is the daughter of Aunt Fong and a quite famous makeup artist. I haven't seen Enshi Yuni for half a month. Yesterday Yuni said she wanted to discuss something with Enshi Yuni in person. My own sister Lu Jian is on duty today, so it seems that I missed the opportunity to meet Pei Enshi by chance. Besides Enshi Yuni, your Aunt Feng's son will also be present today. Please be careful on the way and don't be late. Putting down her phone and standing in the open kitchen of Pei's apartment, Lu Suying took a piece of ham from the prepared plate to taste it, and also casually fed a piece to Feng Lu who was cooking noodles. Is Jian on duty tonight? Then only our busy daughter will come. Feng Lu put the mixed stuffing into the round flour crust, wrapped it neatly into potsticker, and nodded to herself. It seems that his craftsmanship has not declined. My son loved eating potsticker when he was a child, but now he won't change his taste, will he? And she is on the way, we'll be there soon. Uni, did you just say that your son is the chief surgeon in cardiothoracic surgery? No matter how many times she watched it, Lu Suying had no intention of learning this kind of cooking. As Feng Lu's friend, all she had to do was wait for the dish to be cooked and eat. Now, she is just becoming increasingly curious about her foreign friend's son. Feng Lu and Pei Dongcan are remarried, and Pei and she and Feng Lu have no blood relationship, which she knew when she first met Feng Lu. However, Feng Lu rarely mentions son. At first, I thought the mother-son relationship was not very good, but now it seems that it's not the same thing. Following the principle of, friends don't talk, I'll inquire less, Lu Suying never takes the initiative to ask Feng Lu about her previous marriage. After all, Lu Suying greatly admires Feng Lu. This woman is really too strong. Pei Dongcan went from being a convenience store manager to becoming the president of a medium-sized industrial company today, and Feng Lu played a significant role. If it weren't for the courage and clever business acumen of this woman to risk everything, no one, including Pei Dongcan himself, would have believed that Pei Dongcan could have what she is today. So much so that in that company, the senior employees never called Feng Lu madam, but instead solemnly called representative according to their duties. Feng Lu's glare was far more unsettling than Pei Dongcan knocking on the table. I didn't expect it, did I? Our family, Duo, is already the main surgeon at this age. I'll go pick him up later and listen to him talk about it during dinner. Feeling a jolt in her pocket, Feng Lu, who was filled with pride, took out her phone. As soon as she unlocked the screen, a new message popped up that froze her smile. Mom, don't be busy. I can't go to your place today as there is an emergency surgery. What is the situation? A doctor who can't even speak local dialect just landed, why did he go to the operating table? End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Please prepare for surgery immediately. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Please prepare for surgery immediately. In April 2015, third-year students imagined the high school life that was not far away. The newly debuted Little Idols are celebrating their first singing stage trophy. The bold idols who are about to return are also prepared to give their bank cards another full performance, which looks like a month without any new changes. If it continues like this, the future life can be foreseen for a period of time. However, there will always be butterflies flapping their wings, and there will always be forests facing storms. LUGE Hospital, a night that is about to become restless. What's going on? You're so lethargic and uncomfortable. A spacious, bright, and aesthetically decorated staff restaurant, the board of directors is willing to spend money on a staff dinner, and it was just a day of salary. However, resident physician Jin Jishuan from the cardiothoracic surgery department looked a bit worried, and the plates on the table in front of him were full without moving a bite. No, they've been quite healthy lately. Gently patting his cheek, Jin Jishuan picked up his fork and slowly flipped through the plate, trying to focus his attention on eating. Why is that? Don't tell me you've been broken up again. The person sitting across from Jin Jishuan was not polite, waving a spoon while directly poking at the sad incident of Jin Jishuan 2 months ago. No. Nanjian, can't you bully me less once? Looking at the beautiful face of the beautiful classmate and colleague across from him, Jin Jishuan couldn't help but roll his eyes. So you said, what are you worried about? Nan Jian put down the spoon and reached out to snap his fingers in front of Jin Jishuan. When they were in school, the two of them were friends, like friendly and hostile, and admit defeat and call out for dad, so now they don't pay attention to the politeness in the workplace when speaking. We don't have a department head at the moment, do you know that? Knowing in his heart that Nan Jian was caring for him, Jin Jishuan calmed down his emotions and began to answer the other person's questions seriously. Professor Jiang has retired, as everyone knows. Her eyelashes swayed gently, and Nan Jian pondered for a moment before suddenly realizing why Jin Jishuan was worried. The head of the cardiothoracic surgery department at LUGE Hospital just retired half a month ago. It is inevitable for the department to hire a new chief surgeon to complete the upgrade, which should not have been a big concern. However, each chief surgeon usually has 2 or 3 resident physicians who are students, and the chief surgeon that Jin Jishuan and Nan Jian previously followed was Professor Jiang, who had just retired. So, Jin Jishuan can almost be certain that the newcomer will become their new teacher. The new teacher is not easy to get along with, what kind of students they like, and what style they have in the operating room. In recent days, Jin Jishuan's mind has been filled with these questions, day by day. LUGE Hospital is a new type of private hospital that has rapidly risen in recent years, with a good reputation. The cardiothoracic surgery department is also the hospital's flagship department, and its reputation is well known. This upcoming newcomer is indeed very eye-catching. Hey, what are you thinking so much about now? Look at me, I don't think much about that. I'll talk about it when the new main sword comes. It's useless to think about breaking my head now. It cannot be said that he doesn't care at all, but before receiving the exact news, Nan Jian decided not to torture himself. You too. What's wrong with Jishuan? His face is so ugly. A new voice joined and interrupted the conversation between Jin Jishuan and Nan Jian. Senior Jian. Jian Yuni. Sitting next to Nan Jian, he waved his hand to let Jin Jishuan sit down and touched Nan Jian's head, which was wrapped around his arm. Lu Jian opened the packaging paper and took out the sandwich inside. Yuni, do you have any new news about the new chief surgeon in our department? Looking at Lu Jian with 2 bright eyes, Nan Jian reached out and lightly kicked Jin Jishuan under the table. The news from the surgical department has always been well informed. Lu Jian is not only an instrument nurse in the surgical department, but also a popular senior among the younger generation. She has a good temper and is very talkative. It is definitely right to ask her for information. Don't you two know yet? The dean has already gone to pick him up today, and you will be able to see him tomorrow at work. He is a foreigner. Lu Jian slowly bit his sandwich, thinking of the news he had heard from the head nurse this morning. He couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and didn't notice the subtle changes in the expressions of the 2 resident physicians. As part of the exchange between the 2 hospitals, LUGE and Karolinska, the doctor named Lin Zingxian will work in the cardiothoracic department of LUGE Hospital. 27 years old, a relatively young chief surgeon in cardiothoracic surgery, with both surgical emergency qualifications. There are records of 3 main surgeries for heart transplantation in the resume, and the survival rate of transplant recipients is currently 100%. In the surgical video sent by the other hospital, it can be clearly felt that the young chief surgeon on the operating table has a level of completion that does not match his age. His skills are mature, his techniques are fast and smooth, and he does not procrastinate or hesitate. His ability to overcome difficulties and adapt to the situation on the spot has also received high praise from the senior management of LUGE Hospital. Moreover, the surgical style is not rigid and takes into account the atmosphere of the team, making it the type of doctor welcomed by the surgical department. I heard that this person has published 2 articles in the Lancet magazine, and Lu Jian is planning to find them and take a look when he has free time tonight. And what made her feel even more fortunate was that this foreigner's mother tongue was Chinese, just like her close aunt Feng Lu. Due to her aunt's fault, although her Chinese proficiency is not high, she is still able to handle simple daily communication and some commonly used medical terminology. After all, instrument nurses and chief surgeons are team partners who need to work together, and it would be great if there were no barriers to communication between them. Good. The phone in the pocket emitted a beep. Yuni, you're on duty today. You need to have a good meal tonight. It's a message from my younger sister. I know, don't worry, you've been. Buzz, buzz. Before I could finish typing the reply, my phone suddenly vibrated. I am Lu Jian, please speak. While answering the call, Lu Jian looked into the hallway outside the restaurant, feeling a sense of unease in his heart, as if the air in the hallway was restless and restless. Other people eating in the cafeteria also noticed something was wrong and began to exchange glances. A series of traffic accidents have occurred nearby, come to the lobby immediately. The conversation ends immediately with just one sentence of content. Uni. What happened? Seeing Lu Jian get up and run, Nan Jian shouted at her back. As soon as the words fell, Lu Jian had already rushed out of the restaurant. Taking a glance at Jin Jixuan, who was still puzzled, Nan Jian grabbed him and followed Lu Jian out. Senior. I'm here. Running into the emergency room filled with tension due to the large number of injured people, Lu Jian couldn't help but calm his breath and hurriedly rushed to the head nurse's side. I remember Jian, you know Chinese, right? Without waiting for Lu Jian to answer, the head nurse grabbed her arm and took her for a few steps, leading her to the dean who had just returned from outside. Beside the dean stood a young man in a windbreaker. Without speaking, the dean with a solemn expression nodded to the young man and reached out to compare Lu Jian. I am Lin Xingxian from the Department of Cardiothoracic Surgery. Please prepare for the surgery immediately. The young man faced her and spoke fluent Chinese. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Half is gold, half is pink. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Half is gold, half is pink, blocking the ascending aorta. Starting extracorporeal circulation. Stopping infusion completed. What sound? Who is talking? The current body temperature is too low. Pay attention to regulating the circulating temperature. What happened? Dexamethasone 20 cc, intravenous injection. What am I doing? The current state is stable. Start resection. Pay attention to ventricular fibrillation. Ventricular fibrillation. Is it undergoing surgery? Insert stem. Yes, I am undergoing surgery with that foreign doctor. Preparing for rewarming. End of extracorporeal circulation preparation. Surgery. Yes, there was a traffic accident nearby and many injured people were brought in. The inertia caused by the mismatched angle of body placement made it difficult for the body to maintain its original sitting position. With a heavy head, Lu Jian felt as if he had been suddenly lifted up from a drowning sea. His whole body trembled with excitement before suddenly opening his eyes and waking up from a tired shallow sleep. It hurt so much. Covering his sore neck, Lu Jian yawned and scanned the surroundings, only to find himself sitting on a bench outside the emergency operating room. The electronic clock on the wall clearly told her that it was already early morning the next day. Wake up from sleep. A voice that is not familiar, but cannot be considered completely unfamiliar. Speaking Chinese requires her to switch between logical thinking in her brain to understand. Senior, thank you. Standing up, Lu Jian took the pure water bottle from Lin Xingxian's hand as he walked by. Lu Jian's gaze lingered on Lin Xingxian's face for a moment. After a busy night, the person in front of me is still full of energy and doesn't show any signs of fatigue. What's wrong? Is there anything strange on my face? Sensing Lu Jian's gaze, Lin Xingxian touched his cheek in an attempt to discover some non-existent issues. No, you look great. From the bottom of his heart, Lu Jian felt a light-hearted mood and naturally smiled, with lights shining in his eyes and looking bright. The first time we met was in the tense atmosphere last night, and Lin Xingxian didn't even know her name. However, in less than 10 hours, this new companion received her utmost professional respect. Not only her, but everyone present at the surgery department last night, as well as Nan Jian and Jin Jixuan who came to help on the spot, all had the same idea as her. The first surgery performed by Lin Xingxian last night, which involved cardiac arrest and extracorporeal circulation support, had a very high risk. The injured person's aorta was damaged due to the trauma caused by a car accident. At the moment when Can had just entered the hospital, he had not yet mastered the local language and was not familiar with the team. In the face of sudden emergency, Lin Xingxian completed the surgery of aortic arch resection, artificial blood vessel replacement, branch vessel shaping, and stent placement in the descending aorta. Moreover, it was completed perfectly and there was no occurrence of brain ischemia or hypoxia damage that is prone to occur during this surgery. After the main surgeon performed such a surgery, the person immediately went to treat other injured people, and then completed a surgery to treat progressive bleeding in the chest without resting for a moment. It's hard to imagine what this young chief surgeon had experienced before in Karolinska. I just went to the ICU to see those 2 injured people, and their condition is stable. Now we can rest assured to have breakfast. Having guessed that the equipment nurse was unable to accurately express herself due to her limited Chinese vocabulary, Lin Xingxian didn't take the word good looking to heart and reached out to compare the direction of the elevator, gesturing for Lu Jian to follow. You used to do the same before, surgery. Relying on grasping key words to understand what Lin Xingxian was saying, Lu Jian couldn't resist his curiosity and looked at Lin Xingxian's profile, throwing out a question that had been hovering in his heart for quite some time. I have had it before, but it's not the worst. At the worst, I could only perform surgery on the injured in a medical emergency tent, and I had to be prepared every day to evacuate due to earthquakes. I don't know if Lu Jian can understand such a long sentence, but Lin Xingxian didn't have time to break down the content and explain it. He took out his buzzing phone from his pocket. Hello. Mom. It's phone Lu calling. Duo, aren't you busy now? The hospital shouldn't have arranged for you to work today, right? You can tell from the tone that phone Lu is feeling sorry for her son. No, the dean gave me 2 days to settle down. Now I'm going to eat with my colleagues. Before he could finish speaking, Lin Xingxian was interrupted. Mom will pick you up now, you and your colleagues are waiting. Mom will treat you to dinner, and then you will come home to rest. Take all your luggage with you, and Mom will tidy up your room for you. Listening to the noise coming from her phone, it seemed that phone Lu was about to leave as she spoke. No need, I have already planned to rent a room. After finishing my meal, I will go to the agency to check. I can stay in a hotel temporarily for the next few days. As the son of phone Lu and her ex-husband, Lin Xingxian naturally did not want to disturb the life of her second married family. What kind of liquor store? Listen to your mother and come stay at home. Your father and mother divorced back then, which was our adults' business. You are Mom's son, and Pei Dongken welcomes you. You don't have to think so much. Lin Xingxian shrugged his eyelids and pursed his lips. As expected, Mom's personality is still as strong as ever. No, I'll rent my own house, I won't live in your debye. Ignoring that Lu Jian was still standing next to him, Lin Xingxian hurriedly suggested using gestures. With phone Lu's temperament, if he didn't refuse now, it would be difficult to refuse again in the future. Villa. Don't be wild, listen to Mom, just stay in the hospital and wait. Mom will arrive soon, be good. Upon hearing phone Lu's words, Lin Xingxian's phone screen immediately displayed the line, call ended. I don't know what happened, but Lu Jian blinked his eyes and averted his gaze from Lin Xingxian's profile. She felt Lin Xingxian's helpless emotions at this moment, but this helplessness did not seem heavy. Bang! As he walked around the corner, Lin Xingxian was hit by someone who suddenly appeared. I'm sorry. Wearing a black hoodie, a few strands of pink hair were originally restlessly exposed due to walking too fast. Now, due to a collision, the hat slipped off her head, revealing a full head of golden hair inside. The unadorned face also wore a mask, and Jean Taiyan, who couldn't put it down for a long time, kept bowing down to apologize. Her assistant, who had been following her from her hometown throughout the state for many years, was accidentally caught in a series of traffic accidents last night. Just as she learned the news, she and her agent rushed to the hospital. Without waiting for the agent to drive her car into the underground parking lot, Jean Taiyan got off the car first and walked straight to the intensive care center. "It's okay, but please walk slowly. In case of collision with the patient, it won't be good. Please understand." Taking a glance at Lin Xingxian, who was doing nothing, Lu Jian responded on his behalf. "Okay, I'm sorry." Once again bowing and apologizing, Kim Tae-yun avoided these two people and put on her hoodie hat as she walked. Her small figure quickly disappeared into the hallway. Lin Xingxian turned around and withdrew his gaze, gently raising his eyebrows. The top half is golden, and the bottom half is pink to the ends of the hair. Do young people nowadays dye their hair so beautifully? Also, that person's eyebrows, it's so shallow. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. I can't see the chief physician today. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. I can't see the chief physician today. The so called, do as the Romans do, refers to obeying local customs when talking about a place, often used to describe being content with the situation. Before arriving in this city, Lin Xingxian felt that he was mentally prepared to do as the Romans do. However, now he still feels that his life has been impacted beyond comprehension. Senior. Sitting in the self-service ramen noodles shop, Lu Jian looked up at Lin Xingxian, who was staring down at the bowl in a daze, and gave a soft cry. Oh, it's okay. Finding the focus in his pupils, Lin Xingxian lifted his head and smiled, finally reaching out to grab the chopsticks. Although Feng Lu said he would come to pick him up and treat him and his colleagues to dinner, Lin Xingxian didn't plan to wait for his mother to come because he was really hungry after being busy all night. After taking Lu Jian out of the hospital, Lin Xingxian was dumbfounded. Damn it, don't people here have breakfast? In the vicinity of the hospital, people can be seen drinking American ice on the streets, but there is no place that can be called a breakfast shop. In addition to this store whose sign says, Self-Help Ramen Noodles Noodle Restaurant. Lin Xingxian, who doesn't speak the local language, can understand what kind of store this is, thanks to the bilingual Chinese and English annotations next to that line of words. Okay, no one can help themselves to make it. Semi-finished products are also okay. Ramen noodles is good. In the mellow soup, there is a large portion of smooth and shiny yellow noodles, with a few crispy white radish slices and sliced beef on top. Green garlic sprouts float on top of the soup, and a spoonful of chili peppers is poured on top. Shit. In Lin Xingxian's memory of killing people without coriander, ramen noodles looks like this. However, as he walked into this store and watched Lu Jian start operating, Lin Xingxian was once again dumbfounded. No, wait a minute. This is ramen noodles. What are you doing? Do you mean it? Where are we lying here to deceive ghosts? This is clearly instant noodles. Master, you like it. What's the taste, ramen noodles? At that time, Lu Jian's question completely sank Lin Xingxian's ramen noodles dream. Well, it seems that people here call instant noodles ramen noodles. Chi, eat, instant noodles, chi, I want to go back to Qingdao, chi, I want to eat hand-rolled noodles made by my dad, chi, thank you for treating me, senior. I'm on my way. After seeing Lin Xingxian finally moving, Lu Jian, who was sitting opposite, touched his more pink cheek with the back of his hand, and gently stirred ramen noodles with a fork. For people here, especially young people, there is no concept of having breakfast, or in other words, drinking a cup of coffee is equivalent to having breakfast. However, she doesn't mind having breakfast with a new foreign colleague who looks good. I'll treat you to ramen noodles. However, Lin Xingxian's words were a bit wrong, at least making Lu Jian blush on the spot when he didn't react. Inviting the opposite sex to eat ramen noodles is a stem that was accidentally promoted from the film before. It has similar meaning to inviting the opposite sex to have a cup of coffee at home. Well, the senior definitely doesn't know what he was just saying. Good. The prompt sound on her phone relieved Lu Jian's embarrassment as she unlocked the screen and saw a new message from Nan Jian. Yuni, do you know where Dr. Lin is? I didn't see him in the office of cardiothoracic surgery. After sending such a message in front of the patient ward of Chui Xingjing at the intensive care medical center, Nan Jian put his phone back in his white coat pocket. This person was treated by Lin Zingxian, and Nan Jian and Jin Jixuan are currently undergoing rounds. Although the official allocation within the department has not been announced yet, as the only two resident physicians without teachers, Nan Jian and Jin Jixuan will follow Lin Zingxian in the future, which is no longer a suspense. So, both of them naturally have to take corresponding responsibilities towards this patient. The current patient's condition is as I mentioned earlier. Please rest assured that the surgery was very successful and the patient's condition is also very stable. Looking at the two people in front of him who claimed to be relatives and friends of Chui Xingjing, Nan Jian quietly pinched Jin Jixuan's arm next to him. Mute. Say 2 words, let me finish it all by myself. Thank you, thank you. If possible, we would still like to meet with the chief surgeon and thank you in person. As a fellow villager, friend, and long-time work partner, Jin Taiyan naturally attaches great importance and hopes to thank the doctor who saved Chui Xingjing in person. At this moment, she had already taken off her mask and hat. Although she had not put on makeup, the sincere gratitude in her eyes made her look more radiant. Dolu. After a sound prompt, Nan Jian took out his phone and took a look. Senior and I are eating outside the hospital. Is there anything we can do? Lu Jian replied quickly. Sorry, the doctor who performed the main surgery on the patient is not currently in the hospital, and he is not available for outpatient services today, so. On the surface, Nan Jian's smile appears gentle and his tone is gentle, but his solid body has already begun to grit his teeth. Jin Jixuan. Are you mute? However, standing next to Nan Jian, Jin Jixuan remained silent. He was a bit stunned. It looks beautiful even without makeup. Cute. The real person looks better than in the camera. My skin is so white. Is this hair made for a comeback? The residual light of his gaze drifted around Kim Tae-yun's face one after another, each glance swiftly passing by without stopping, afraid of being discovered. Kim Ji-hoon maintained his usual expression, as if beating a drum in his heart. It's quite common for him to like girl groups, without exception. Although his favorite idol is not Kim Tae-yun, it does not prevent him from developing rich psychological activities after seeing real people with his own eyes. It's okay, it's okay. Thank you for your hard work. With sincere gratitude and a sense of professional self-awareness as an artist, Kim Tae-yun's smile exudes a sense of closeness that is just right, as well as a sense of solemnity from the patient's relatives. The bow with her hands clasped in front of her chest gives her a sense of protection that almost made her lose her loved ones in the eyes of others. She had no choice but to give up because she couldn't see the chief surgeon today. Let's go first, then. After finishing today's itinerary, come back. I have just processed the caregiver service for Xingjing, you can rest assured. The agent glanced at Jin Jixuan, who had not spoken yet, and gently tugged at Jin Taeyan's sleeve, lowering her voice and saying a few words. They are all partners who spend time together day and night. Even without Jin Taeyan's reasons, the agent would not hastily deal with Chui Xingjing's situation. Moreover, Jin Taeyan does have many itineraries. According to the original arrangement, she should be doing makeup at this time. Okay, let's go then. Turning to look at the hospital room, Jin Taeyan pursed her lips and lightly clenched her fingertips in her palm. Her eyebrows and eyes gradually eased, and her heart, which had been constantly lifting, finally let go. Fortunately, it's okay. Let's go first, and it's not good to keep the makeup maker, Pei and Shi Yuni, waiting. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. These two people are now taking action together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. These two people are now taking action together. Reunion after a long separation. Even Feng Lu, who has a strong personality, will feel a bit uneasy. Sitting in the sports car, looking at the self-service ramen noodles shop not far away, Feng Lu blinked, feeling like her eyes were covered with fog, and squeezed her palm nervously and expectantly. Although she has always been in contact, she has not seen her son with her own eyes for many years. When my son was young, he was not a character that worried his parents. He always tried to solve any problems he encountered on his own, and his temper was also stubborn, strong-willed, and not willing to give up. This is very similar to her. I heard that my son's medical skills are quite good now, and last night's incident also confirmed this to some extent. Feng Lu, who has always been proud and accustomed to it, naturally feels proud of her son. But how can this kid invite a young opposite-sex colleague he just met to eat ramen noodles? Feeling somewhat distressed, Feng Lu touched her forehead, feeling that she had already made psychological progress and opened the car door to get off. The closer she got, the more she felt something was wrong. The focus of her gaze shifted from her son to the person next to her who was eating with him, and Feng Lu finally understood what was wrong. Isn't this Lu Suying's eldest daughter, Lu Jian? Oh, right. Jian is an instrument nurse in the surgical department, and there must be a work interaction with Duo. Jian is a good child. A sudden flash swept through her heart, and the color between her eyebrows and eyes suddenly became lively. After swallowing, Feng Lu gently opened the door of the ramen noodles shop. The first person to see her was Lu Jian, who was facing the door. Auntie. How could you be here? It was already a very familiar and close relationship, and Lu Jian stood up with some surprise and naturally embraced Feng Lu's arm. This aunt is like a mother to her and her sister, and she is a very important person in the hearts of sisters. Did Jian have a hard time last night? Auntie came to pick you up. Auntie's treat, let's go have a big meal. Patting the back of Lu Jian's hand, Feng Lu only glanced at it before shifting her gaze to Lin Xingxian. Pick up. You guys. Lu Jian's pupils flickered slightly. Mom, you're here. Taking out a piece of toilet paper to wipe his mouth, Lin Xingxian stood in front of Feng Lu. I couldn't feel any emotional fluctuations in him, as if I hadn't seen Feng Lu for many years. It was just that after my son worked an all-night shift, my mother drove over to pick him up and bring him home. Mom. Lu Jian's pupils suddenly widened and shook violently. Hey, Mom has come to pick you up and go home. Feng Lu's voice became a bit hoarse, and her gaze also became a bit blurry. Are you going to your big field now? Seeing the flicker of water in Feng Lu's eyes, Lin Xingxian's eyebrows and eyes involuntarily became much gentler, and he smiled lightly. I remember when I was a child, many people said that Lin Xingxian's eyebrows and eyes looked like Feng Lu's. As adults, they become more and more alike. Looking at Feng Lu and then at Lin Xingxian, Lu Jian's lips slightly parted and he quickly blinked his eyes, quietly releasing Feng Lu's arm. Don't be so wild, it's a villa, silly son. With a sour nose, Feng Lu bit her lower lip, feeling that her eyelashes were almost unable to hold the weight of her eyelids. Don't be wild is a meme used by Lin Xingxian when he was a child and couldn't recognize all the characters. No matter how many years have passed, the whole family has always remembered. It's not wild. Lin Xingxian opened his arms and gently embraced Feng Lu. Compared to Feng Lu's past memories, he has grown much taller. It's a villa. Feng Lu took a sniff and gave her son a hard pat on the shoulder, not quite smiling. Taking a step back, Lu Jian, who had already guessed what was going on, raised his hands, half-clasped them together, covering his lips and nose, his eyes filled with a warm and emotional expression. Not far from this ramen noodles shop, Nan Jian and Jin Jishuan, who had changed into regular clothes, walked by the road and planned to buy coffee. It's still a bit early at this time. The hospital restaurant is not open yet, and the two of them don't want to drink coffee from the coin machine. What were you staring at just now? Did you see your own idol? With a teasing touch on Jin Jixuan with his elbow, Nan Jian was in a good mood and took his steps lightly. Last night when Lin Xingxian underwent surgery, she stayed in the operating room and watched the entire process with her own eyes. She particularly likes Lin Xingxian's expressionless and precise mechanical handling of the knife without any eye changes, without hesitation, sharp and natural like breathing, yet precise and effortless like slow movements. The surgical instruments in Lin Xingxian's hands seem to have become a part of his limbs. If we ever get Lin Xingxian's full guidance, we'll have to have a drink to celebrate. That's not it. My destiny is red. Rid babe, Wendy. Seriously correcting Nan Jian's erroneous cognition, Jin Jixuan furrowed his eyebrows and scratched his cheeks, trying to conceal his embarrassment. Oh, I don't know. My original destiny was Nikon, and now I'm occasionally climbing walls, Teacher Lin. With a pout, Nan Jian quickly took a few steps and left Jin Jixuan behind. Teacher Lin. What, Teacher Lin? What are you thinking? Jin Jixuan was stunned for a moment, took 2 steps together, and also touched Nan Jian's arm with his elbow. I didn't think about anything, but don't you think Teacher Lin looks very good? If that face were to undergo plastic surgery, even minor adjustments would be equivalent to disfigurement. As she spoke, she extended her palm and gestured, while Nan Jian licked her tongue and shook her head. Lin Xingxian's face is really small, however. Jin Jixuan did not speak again. What's wrong? You're not talking again. Looking up at his side, Nan Jian noticed that this guy had been stunned again. Jin Jixuan. Nan Jian lightly kicked Jin Jixuan. Look over there. Jin Jixuan didn't really daydream this time. He followed the direction of his gaze, reached out and pointed, then lifted his leg and ran over. No one helped himself at the door of the Lamian noodles shop. Lin Xingxian had just walked out when he heard Kim Ji-hoon's cheerful voice. Teacher Lin. Are you leaving? I'll drive you off. Everyone was crawling and rolling in the workplace, and having an eye was a good thing. Jin Jixuan ran up to Lin Xingxian and politely bowed. Senior is leaving. We have a car. Do you have anything to do? Standing next to Lin Xingxian, Lu Jian spoke up directly instead. With Feng Lu's connection, Lu Jian felt that he had become much more comfortable getting along with Lin Xingxian. It's okay, then the teacher and senior should walk slowly. Jian and I have just checked the room, especially the patient in the ICU. The situation is very stable, please rest assured. I didn't know that Lin Xingxian went to the ICU for a walk early in the morning. Jin Jixuan looked at Lin Xingxian and then at Lu Jian, who had just said, we have a car, and drew a question mark in his heart. Are these two people acting together now? Dr. Jin, is this the chief surgeon who performed the surgery on Cui Xingjing? Another new voice has joined here. Lin Xingxian looked up and saw that he was the person who was almost forgotten, with colorful hair and shallow eyebrows. Feng Lu stood slightly behind her son, without any intention of approaching. Although my son doesn't speak the same language, there won't be any problem with Lu Jian around. Hello, I am a friend of patient Cui Xingjing. Jean Taiyan, who had already put on a hoodie, hat, and mask and was waiting on the roadside for the agent to drive her car out, did not expect to meet the person she had just bumped into in the hospital here. I didn't expect this person to be the chief surgeon of Cui Xingjing. When she was in the hospital, she saw the work permit on Jin Jixuan's white coat. Just now I happened to hear what Jin Jixuan said. So, she can almost be certain that this is the doctor she and her agent wanted to meet before. Thank you for saving Cui Xingjing, thank you. Bowing up, Jean Taiyan felt that her tone was already very sincere, but the chief surgeon didn't even say a word. Previously, in the hospital corridor, this person was hit and seemed to have not said a word. This is our responsibility and what we should do. Lu Jian also bowed back. Maintaining her smile, Kim Tae-yeon's eyelashes gently trembled. What is the situation? Is this chief surgeon sharing the same throat as this nurse? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. White Rose Perfume. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7 White Rose Perfume. Sometimes, I'll see you next Monday, is just a fixed line that I'm used to saying, without any strict restrictions. In Luenshi's past memories, she often met Su Yoli and Su Yoli's beloved bicycle at the Yao-O Pavilion on weekends, like a trendy figure driving a robot to save the world at lightning speed. However, people may stumble, horses may stumble, and over time, there will always be a time to stir garlic under one's feet. Su Yoli was fortunate to have met Luenshi while mixing garlic this time. Pain, pain, pain. With one hand wrapped around Luenshi's shoulder and the other supporting the bicycle, Su Yoli suppressed the pain of wanting to grin and slowly walked deep and shallow in the familiar Yugeting alley. Walk well. Staring at Su Yoli, who was taller than her head, Luenshi grabbed the hand that was wrapped around her shoulder and placed it on it, letting her lean closer to her and exert less force on her injured foot. When I met this guy just now, I was at the entrance of a small alley. I was riding my bike and only focused on being the son of the wind without looking at the road. In order to avoid almost hitting a pedestrian, I forcefully turned my bike and fell heavily. I don't know from whom this boy's personality was learned. Sniff. Sniff. Su Yoli wrinkled her nose and sniffed. Enshi, did you use any perfume? Confirming the source of the smell, Su Yoli leaned her head and sniffed Luenshi's collar. Does it smell good? Enshi Yuni gave it to me. Luenshi also raised his sleeve to smell it and smiled contentedly. The accelerated growth in both physical and mental aspects has made her increasingly understand how to dress up and want to dress up. Her popularity among classmates has also taught her how to calmly accept the gaze of others. At this time, Pei Enshi gave her a bottle of perfume. No brand, no name, just a simple white bottle of perfume. It is the fragrance of white roses. Enshi Yuni. Ah, it's your Aunt Feng's daughter. I remember you said it was a makeup artist. The relationship is close enough, so Su Yoli is aware of some of Luenshi's interpersonal relationships. For example, Aunt Feng, who runs a business, for example, the famous makeup artist's sister, Teacher Pei, please do it again. In a beauty salon at Yao Ting, looking at Jean Taeyen sitting in front of the dressing table, who was as delicate as a porcelain doll, the agent clasped her hands and expressed gratitude to the busy makeup artist. This makeup artist named Pei Enshi and SM Company has a long-term cooperative relationship, and the makeup of the teenage girls and the newcomer girl group Red Velvet is handled by Pei Enshi's team. We are both very familiar with each other, and the trust relationship established from work is also very stable. Now is the return period of the teenage years, and the new song, Catch Me If You Can, has already begun to be played. The other members have already rushed to the TV station, only Jean Taeyen, who went to the hospital to visit her assistant temporarily, was left behind. It's okay, Taeyen has a good foundation and is always easy to take care of. After a brief tidying up, Pei Enshi handed over the remaining tasks to others and walked outside while talking to Jean Taeyen's agent. Although we have been working together for a long time, this agent has only recently met. Moreover, it seems that she is only following Kim Tae-yeon. Is it the new personal agent assigned to Kim Tae-yeon? It seems that something good is about to happen for Jean Taeyen at work. Yuni, what brand of perfume did you use just now? Pinching her collar and sniffing, Jean Taeyen's eyebrows and eyes lit up with a soft smile. It is the fragrance of white roses. There is no brand, it is a private work, no manufacturer. The three of them walked out of the beauty salon door and held on to Jean Taeyen's hand. Pei Enshi carefully examined the artist's face in the sunlight, sighed softly, and comforted her with a smile, caressing the back of her hand. Due to the exposure of their relationship, this artist has been going through a harder year than before. In various senses, whether it's emotions, life, or work. Thank you, I'm fine now. Noticing Pei and Shi's unspoken concern, Jean Taeyeon's eyelashes flickered slightly, her gaze narrowed, and she shook the sister's hand back. Teacher Pei, are you going out? If it's in the direction of SBS TV, let's see you off for a while. Glancing at Jean Taeyeon, the agent pointed to Pei and Shi's parked nanny car. In theory, such things are not very appropriate, but there are always exceptions. Pei and Shi is a high-quality long-term partner who has done a great job in makeup making. The company is satisfied, and the artists are also satisfied. Both parties have a good trust relationship. Moreover, Jean Taeyeon's solo event has been confirmed internally within the company to be launched in the second half of the year, and naturally, it is hoped that the styling aspect will be handed over to Pei and Shi's team. The most important thing is that the agent feels that at this moment, Pei and Shi's presence and concern seem to make Jean Taeyeon, who has just experienced almost losing her close assistant, feel better. So, it's just a delivery, there shouldn't be any problem. Thank you for your kindness. I need to go home now if I have something to do, so I won't trouble you. Rejecting the agent's kindness, Pei and Shi took out his car key to indicate his decision. My younger brother went home today, so the whole family won't make too many arrangements for him today. Pinching Jean Taeyeon's palm, the temperature of Pei and Shi's fingertips seemed to rub into the texture of Jean Taeyeon's palm, and the sunlight became even more enthusiastic. Brother. Thinking of her older brother in her hometown, Kim Tae-yeon became interested in this family-oriented word. Her pupils dilated with vitality, and her lips curved with the raised eyebrows. In Jean Taeyeon's memory, she had never heard Pei and Shi mention that she also had a younger brother. Well, I've been studying and working in Stockholm before, and I just returned today. No matter how close the relationship is, it is still an outsider in the center of the entertainment industry. Pei and Shi has never told Jean Taeyeon about her family. However, refusing the invitation to hitchhike is not necessarily a lie. Because the younger brother named Lin Zhengxian, who had not yet met, Feng Lu was going to set up a big table outside to celebrate and make up for Lin Zhengxian's regret of working overtime unexpectedly last night. It was said that Lu Jian and his daughter had arrived, and Lu and Shi was also on the way. As a sister, Pei and Shi certainly cannot allow himself to be late. This bottle of perfume is for you. I think you like it. I wish you a smooth return and good results. Take out a white perfume bottle that has not been opened from the handbag and put it on Kim Tae-yeon's hand. Pei and Shi moves 2 steps to the other side, and his eyes are drawn into the angle of the sun. I can't see her eyes clearly, only her gentle smile. Just like a hard-working gardener watching her carefully taken care of the flower bed. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Silent Afternoon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Silent Afternoon. People who wander outside always feel homesick. In addition to running a business together with Pei Dongkan, Feng Lu also has 2 stores that are completely her own and run by herself, which are her personal property. One of the shops is a Chinese restaurant. She stubbornly did not localize the taste of the dishes, but maintained the original flavor. The reason is simple, she wants to eat it herself. This store never takes revenue and profit as its ultimate goal. This shop is just a whim of Feng Lu wandering outside. Duo Chinese restaurant. Mom, Lin Duo has grown up, even though he is still a child in your eyes. Sitting on the 2nd floor of this restaurant, which is never open to customers, Lin Zhengxian suddenly sighed as he watched the pedestrians coming and going on the road outside the window. Duo is his nickname, and Feng Lu used his nickname to name this restaurant, which has a clear meaning. When his parents divorced, Lin Zhengxian was still in elementary school, and now he can't even remember some of the things that happened at that time. For Lin Zhengxian, the biggest impact that memory had on him was to make him pay extra attention to his family, especially after he reached adulthood. When he was in Stockholm before, he had a relationship that was about to begin. If it weren't for an unexpected situation, he would have been married by now. He really likes the feeling of family. The space design on the second floor here appears more spacious than the first floor, and the place where he is currently sitting is where Feng Lu usually specializes in tea tasting. A small square table with 2 chairs placed opposite each other, with ample lighting and quiet surroundings. Not far away, there is also a fish tank where 3 ornamental fish are leisurely wagging their tails. "Senior, are you tired?" Passing by the small square table, Lu Jian, who had already changed his clothes and was about to go to the kitchen to help Feng Lu, who personally cooked, paused for a moment. In the eyes of her elders, she is always a very sensible child. Although she has little interest in learning how to make these dishes, she still asks for help every time. "A little bit, it's okay, you're busy." Raising an eyebrow and smiling, Lin Zengxian waved his hand and watched as Lu Jian disappeared around the corner. "I have met Lu Suying, I have met Lu Jian, and I have also met my sister Peianxi. Who will I see next?" Lin Zengxian felt that there shouldn't be anyone left, so it's time to close your eyes and take a break. "I have been mentally tense all night, not daring to slack off in saving lives. Now that I have relaxed, I am becoming increasingly tired." In a daze, he felt like he was floating on the sea, swaying with the waves, as if sleeping in a cradle while swaddling. "Excuse me." The girl's voice, which was not loud but not timid, merged into this private space that was not open to the public from the entrance of the second floor. A light purple round-necked hoodie paired with a plaid skirt of the same color, and wearing a pair of high-cut white canvas shoes, Lu Enshi took off the thin black casual beret on his head. His clear and cool gaze playfully flickered in his eyes, and then he sorted out his originally lively expression, trying to look formal like a child wearing adult clothes. Only then did he take a steady step and turn the corner. She already knew in advance that there would be someone she didn't know before at the party today. After many years, she can still remember this moment's scene. It has nothing to do with any surging or trembling emotions, just like passing by a pet store on a rainy day and seeing a dozing little white cat in the window. Walking past the exquisite fish tank, the first thing she felt was sunshine, warm and cozy, like a golden apple in a fairy tale, and also like the most obedient drawing board in the painter's pen. Taking another step forward and following the sunlight, she saw an antique chair and a small square table that had been around for some time. Unlike the impression of Feng Lu sitting here drinking tea, at this moment the small square table was clean and empty, as if there were no tea sets present before everyone arrived, and he was still waiting. As if feeling an ancient story sleeping in a book, Lu Enshi instinctively slowed down his pace, even his breathing became lighter. Slowly, slowly, take another step forward, slowly, the fine dust particles floating in the air are clearly visible in the embrace of sunlight, slowly, the silhouette of a person became faintly visible behind the long hair lifted by the wind in the sunlight. So, with a slight hesitation in his footsteps, Lu Enshi's gaze hesitated as he held on to his eyelashes and lightly touched the direction of the wall. There is a simple clock hanging on the wall, with the time displayed as morning. Release her eyelashes and let the brushstrokes of her gaze fall back on that contour, but Lu Enshi felt that it was afternoon. The white canvas shoes stepped on the floor, like a small boat with folded sails, drifting towards the center of the sea with leisurely seagulls. If the scene in front of her is a painting, she thinks it must be a sketch. The silhouette of that person was quickly outlined by a skilled street painter with a brand new hard pencil. Clear edges and quiet silence. Elbow leaning on the armrest, fingers clenched weakly, fingers supported on the cheek, place the other hand on the armrest on the other side of the seat, the figure leaned slightly against the back of the chair, invisible smooth breathing, like being colored by light and shadow and painted on a layer of memory, leaving some easily forgotten mottled spots. So, how was this person's face painted? Lu Enshi stood in place, tilting his head and biting his lips, his gaze fixed on somewhere, his thoughts already running towards the corner of the city. It was a rainy day, and she was holding a white umbrella. There is an open pet shop on the street corner. In the shop window, there is a dozing little white cat. In the afternoon, quietly. In the afternoon, Lin Zengxian was enveloped in drowsiness and floated on the pure white sea surface. He saw a small boat with its sails folded up, accompanied by leisurely seagulls, drifting towards the center of the sea. At the bow of the small boat, there was a bouquet of purple roses. He smelled the fragrance of white roses. In the afternoon, quietly. Floating on the pure white sea surface. "Fool, get up now." A familiar voice. "You guy, won't you let me sleep a little longer?" "Not right now, idiot, get up quickly." Familiar tone. "You guy, okay, I'll get up now." In the afternoon, quietly. Floating on the purple sea surface. Lin Xingxian smelled the white rose. "I also smelled a cup of tea called time." Slowly, open your eyes. Sitting on a quaint chair, Lin Xingxian saw a cup of steaming tea on the table in front of him. "Are you awake?" Strange voices came from across. "My name is Lu, and she." Not yet standardized, but with enough effort in Chinese pronunciation. "Hello, Lin, brother." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Is handed over to you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 is handed over to you. Are you in a hurry to introduce me to the most familiar people around me, who are about my age, so that I can quickly adapt to the atmosphere and life here? Do you want me to stay here for a few more years? Standing at the exit on the second floor of the restaurant, Lin Xingxian turned around and glanced at Feng Lu, who was planning to stay here to check the accounts, before going downstairs. "But, Mom, I'm just here for communication, my home is not here." Closing the slight silence that seeped out from the corner of his eyes, Lin Xingxian turned around and went downstairs, blocking the relaxed atmosphere of the previous gathering and not taking it away at all. Duo, I, temporary, have a job, you, come with me." Leaving the restaurant, Lin Xingxian saw Pei Yanxi with an apologetic expression on his face. Lu Suying and Lu Jian have already left by car. It was agreed earlier that Pei Yanxi would take Lin Xingxian home, but now there seems to be something wrong. Shouldn't it be too convenient? Lin Xingxian bent down and touched the head of Spark squatting at his feet. Last night, Lin Xingxian participated in emergency treatment temporarily, and had no choice but to place his German Shepherd dog in the security room of the hospital's underground garage for the whole night. After finishing the instant noodles this morning, he brought out the Sparks and came to the restaurant together. However, he was afraid of scaring the ladies he had just met for the first time, so he placed the Sparks on the first floor in a delicious manner. To be honest, Lin Xingxian felt quite upset in his heart. Although he hasn't formed a family yet, Spark has always been his family. Seeing this German Shepherd dog, Pei Yanxi frowned and felt a bit embarrassed. She has something to go to the TV station now, and the team members are waiting there. There is no way to delay, but such a large dog cannot be brought in. "Brother, Uni, I have something to do. I'll leave first, bye-bye." Using Chinese as the main language, combining Chinese, English, and local dialects into one sentence, Lu Enshi, who had not left with his mother and sister, temporarily interrupted the conversation between Pei Yanxi and Lin Xingxian. Why didn't this child follow along just now? My friend was injured and happened to be at the number 3 subway station in Yao-Ting. I stopped by Luge Hospital and now I'm going to the hospital to find her. Seeing Pei Yanxi's puzzled gaze, Lu Enshi briefly explained the matter. Of course, the language of this sentence is something that Lin Xingxian has not yet mastered. Before coming to the restaurant, Lu Enshi met Su Yoli, who couldn't run at lightning speed. At that time, Su Yoli looked okay, and with that person constantly shouting that he was okay, Lu Enshi, who was in a hurry, didn't ask much. I didn't expect there to be a problem now. Enshi, if I say I'm in the hospital, will you still be willing to ride my bike in the future? While eating, I didn't hear my phone ring. As soon as I walked out to check my phone, Lu Enshi realized that 20 minutes ago, Su Yoli had sent her this message. At the end of the text, there was also a despicable expression. Seeing it, Lu Enshi wanted to shoot his phone on this guy's forehead. Rhythm. Lin Xingxian did not know the language here, but the pronunciation of luge was too easy to recognize. He turned his gaze and happened to bump into the gaze of Luanxi, who was quietly looking at him. Just afraid of causing trouble for Lin Xingxian, whom he had just met, Luanxi deliberately spoke to Peianxi in a language that Lin Xingxian could not understand. He was also observing that Lin Xingxian must not suddenly understand anything, but he did not expect to be caught with the key words. "Are you going to League Hospital?" "Since getting off the plane, I have been busy all the time. The meal I had just had was not easy to talk about, and Peianxi had some last-minute matters." Lin Xingxian was considering whether to take his phone to translate and take a stroll somewhere. Suddenly, there was a scene in front of Luanxi. Because of the cup of tea he woke up in the restaurant and the Chinese greeting, Lin Xingxian was very willing to help this little girl whom his own mother loved very much. Don't look away," Luanxi awkwardly scratched his hair. "Luge is a big hospital. If it weren't for the nearby route, Su Yoli wouldn't have gone directly to Luge. These injuries are all treated at the clinic, so it would be great if someone could help. However, I just got to know Lin Xingxian, and he has been busy with emergency treatment all night. I am not my sister, and we have a work-partner relationship. No trouble." Before dinner, Lin Xingxian was so tired that he sat in a chair and fell asleep. Watching Luanxi's briefly conflicted expression stabilize again, Lin Xingxian asked Peianxi what the situation was. "All right, I'll go to Luge Hospital with you. With a doctor around, your friend's affairs will also be easier to handle." Whether it's the favor of returning that cup of tea, the good impression of the little girl in front of him, or not wanting to stay in the restaurant, Lin Xingxian decided to go back to the hospital first. So he took a step in the direction of Luanxi. Spark, who was originally squatting at his feet, also stood up and took a few quick steps towards Luanxi's direction. However, Spark was a large dog, and suddenly this startled the little girl. "Sparks!" Lin Xingxian squatted down, hugged the Spark, and leaned towards the ears of the German Shepherd dog, not knowing what he had said. As he spoke, he also pointed to Luanxi halfway through. "Come on." Lin Xingxian raised his head and smiled at the sunlight, waving to Luanxi. I don't know if it's because Lin Xingxian's smile has an affinity, or because of the residual relaxed atmosphere during the dinner just now, Luanxi naturally responded with a smile. She smiled and swallowed her throat, pinching the strap of her backpack with her fingers as if making a decision. Finally, she walked up to the German Shepherd and squatted down. Lin Xingxian touched Spark's head without saying anything more. Spark changed to a squatting position and lifted a small paw to hand to the girl in front of him. Feeling slightly surprised by the scene before her, Luanxi glanced at Lin Xingxian. After receiving a positive nod, she slowly grasped the Spark's small paw with some caution. Then, he gently swayed up and down a few times, as if shaking hands. When Luanxi released his hand, Spark stood up and took 2 slow steps to reach Luanxi's side, rubbing his head against her arm. "It remembers you, you are its new friend." Standing up and turning around, Lin Xingxian looked at Peianxi and shrugged his shoulders. Lin Xingxian knew that Peianxi hoped to stay in the restaurant, but Peianxi was unaware of some of the past events of the Lin family, so Lin Xingxian may not be able to make her wish come true. "Sister, go ahead and get busy. Xiaolu knows some Chinese, and I can also speak English. There shouldn't be any problems here. Different languages have different habits in the use of vocabulary." Both Peianxi and Luanxi himself find the term Xiaolu somewhat fresh. At least, Feng Lu has never addressed anyone in this way in front of them. "Okay, Enshi, I'll leave your duo OPPA to you." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. So, what should we do? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. So, what should we do? Who is he? Sitting on a bench in the hallway, holding her newly bandaged calf, Su Yoli leaned against Luanxi, her gaze curiously swaying back and forth on the Chinese-speaking person. Aunt Feng's son is a new doctor at Luge Hospital. Following Su Yoli's gaze, Luan Shi also looked at Lin Xingxian, biting his lips, bulging his cheeks, and lightly flashing his eyelashes. How many foreign languages does this person know? When she first entered the hospital, she could clearly hear Lin Xingxian speaking in English to the person at the lobby consultation desk. Looking for someone to help, taking Su Yoli to the emergency surgery without queuing, Lin Xingxian spoke another language at that time. Por favor, tenga la seguridad de que está bien. Don't worry, she's fine now. Nan Jian and his familiar emergency surgery resident waved their hands and turned to meet Lin Xingxian, who was still waiting in place. His mouth was full of stumbling Spanish. During the holiday, Lin Xingxian took 2 middle school students to see the emergency surgery department. After going out for coffee with Jin Jishuan and just returning, Nan Jian naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity to fall in love. As soon as Lin Xingxian spoke, he immediately took people to the back door. Gracias, Bernardo. Thank you, Bernabu. Lin Xing smiled casually and raised his eyebrows with a hint of envy. Nan Jian lowered his head slightly, raised his hand and grabbed his neck, then smiled awkwardly. In order to travel to Madrid during the holiday and watch a Champions League match against Real Madrid, Nanjian has been self-learning Spanish. When Lin Xingxian walked into the office of cardiothoracic surgery just now, she was reading a Spanish magazine to exercise her foreign language skills. On the cover of the magazine is a photo of Real Madrid Stadium, the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium. It was out of witnessing such a scene that Lin Xingxian judged that Nan Jian might have some Spanish, so he chose to speak to her in this foreign language. The result is that Nan Jian can indeed understand. Cuando tenga tiempo, puedo ansar despacio. When I have time, I can teach you Spanish. There were still 2 little girls waiting, and Lin Xingxian had no intention of saying anything more to Nan Jian. One foot had already made a posture of turning outward. Everyone will be colleagues in the future, and there will be plenty of time to spend together. Muchas gracias. Thank you. We participated in last night's first aid together, and now we are grateful again. We are confident that we have left a good first impression in front of the new teacher. Nan Jian is in a good mood and even bows with great enthusiasm. As for the relationship between those 2 high school students and the foreigner who came to this country for the first time, she wouldn't be curious. This kind of thing can only be of interest to that guy Jin Jishuan. It's so cool. I can speak foreign languages fluently and look stylish in a windbreaker. Luan Shi heard self-talk coming from around him. Su Yoli leaned her neck and looked in the direction of Lin Xingxian, with her mouth slightly open and her eyes blinking. Her focus was particularly clear and her goal was singular. That gaze was like a fan looking at an idol's poster. Enshi, what do you think? It looks very manly. As she spoke, Su Yoli bit her lips and reached out to touch her chin. This is no longer fans watching idols, but Su Yoli saw a super stylish off-road bicycle, the latest model. This off-road bicycle has a full and smooth forehead, a raised eyebrow arch that connects to a high and straight nose, and a slightly raised chin. The 4 highs and 3 lows in the perfect side profile are like this: high eyebrow bone, paired with large double eyelids, full and plump. Even if not smiling, it still exists. The long eyelashes and sharp inner corners of the eyes are the bone features of male characteristics, which are explosive. In addition, this person's eyes are originally inclined towards calmness, presenting a sense of contradiction in high-end contrast. Looking further down, one can see the high nasal bone, which is smoothly connected by the high frontal bone and eyebrow arch bone, without a hump. The high-quality nasal base also supports the high nasal tip, preventing it from having a hooked nose. There are also textbook-style M-shaped lips and sharp and clear lines in the human body, with a considerable amount of male hormones. This face can be said to have a very anti-aging bone appearance. To put it simply in Chinese, it refers to a man of strong facial features in the order of sword eyebrow star. As for her height, Su Yoli felt that this person exceeded 180 centimeters no matter how she looked at it. Hey, handsome guy with thick facial features. Modeling faces, okay. This person's face is made by a computer, isn't it? Looking at that face carefully again, Su Yoli even excitedly patted Lu Enxi's arm while looking at it. It's like buying just one album and getting the small card you want. Lu Enxi sighed and lowered his head to support his forehead, unsure of what to say about his friend. When I was dealing with the wound on my leg just now, it was so painful that I bared my teeth and almost cried and howled. Now it feels like nothing happened. Let's go. The off-road bicycle walked up to Lu Enxi and gestured outside with its thumb. Thank you, Lin, brother. Picking up Su Yoli, who could tidy up her expression, Lu Enxi followed Lin Xingxian's footsteps and didn't forget to turn around and bow slightly to Nan Jian, who was watching here. Although Pei Enxi has no blood relationship with Lin Xingxian, he is Lin Xingxian's sister due to Feng Lu's reasons. As a sister, it is natural to use the word duo to refer to Lin Xingxian. However, as an outsider, Lu Enxi naturally did not use the duo oppa that Pei Enxi said during the morning separation, and instead used the surname plus brother that was specifically checked before the meeting. You're welcome, little. Suddenly stopped, Lin Xingxian slowly closed his lips and didn't finish speaking, his expression slightly awkward. Xiao plus surname is his customary expression, but according to his mother's introduction, it seems that people here are accustomed to calling their names directly without a surname. However, is this too close? Alas, it seems like we should hire a language teacher as soon as possible, otherwise living here would be really inconvenient. Thank you, doctor. Su Yoli, on the other hand, was full of energy and spoke a powerful local dialect, without considering whether Lin Xingxian could understand it. She said, thank you. Like Lu Jian, Lu Enxi also plays the role of a translator at the moment. You're welcome, take your friend home. Leaving the hospital, Su Yoli unlocked her precious bicycle and brought the fireworks that had been guarding the bicycle. The three of them stood at the intersection, and the atmosphere briefly froze. Lin Xingxian looked at the sky, pondering. Lu Enxi looked at Lin Xingxian and waited for him to say what to do next. Su Yoli looked at her bicycle and was worried. They encountered a problem. Su Yoli can't ride a bicycle now, so she must take a taxi home. So, how should her bicycle go home? Stuffed into the trunk of a taxi. Not to mention whether the driver will agree. Su Yoli's bicycle, which aims to be cool and cool, is already too large. Whether it can be stuffed in to ensure that it does not fall off halfway is a question mark. Can Lin Xingxian help ride over? But Lin Xingxian doesn't know the way. Can Lu Enxi help ride over? But what about Lin Xingxian, who doesn't speak the same language? Due to etiquette and social considerations, it is not convenient for Lin Xingxian and Su Yoli, who have only met for the first time for less than half an hour, to ride a bike, and it is also not convenient for them to ride a bike, leaving Lu Enxi and a girl riding a bicycle. So, what should we do? Su Yoli's eyes dripped around her pupils, and the light bulb in her mind lit up. Then, with a clear plan, he turned his gaze to Lu Enxi. Enxi, then it's up to you. End of this chapter.